Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, participants, good morning and welcome to the third day of the ISDB Private Sector Forum. We are delighted to have you with us as we continue our journey of collaboration, innovation, and opportunity across the Islamic world and beyond. Welcome to today's panel, discussion on unlocking trade potential among Africa, Arab countries, and Algeria, the role of risk mitigation tool in promoting trade and investments. Ladies and gentlemen, despite unlimited resources and strategic geographical position, Algeria, Africa, and the Arab world continue to face barriers that limit their full trade and investment potential. However, this landscape is evolving. Institutions such as ISEC, Afreximbank, and Badia are playing an important role, offering critical tools like financial guarantee, capacity building, and risk mitigation service to catalyze cross-border trade and sustainable investment. This session, ladies and gentlemen, brings together key stakeholders to explore how Algeria can position itself as a regional trade hub. How can we collectively overcome risks and barriers, and how targeted partnership, especially public and private sector, can unlock growth in sectors such as infrastructure, renewable energy, agriculture, and technology. Before we start this panel, we invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to see this brief corporate video that showcases ISEC's important partnerships and commitment to sustainable development across its member states.
The Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISEC, a Sharia-compliant multilateral insurer and member of the Islamic Development Bank, ISDB Group, has empowered sustainable economic development since 1994. Headquartered in Jeddah with 10 offices across strategic regions, we serve 50 OIC member states and facilitate global trade and investment through Sharia-compliant risk mitigation. We offer Sharia-compliant insurance and reinsurance solutions, including supplier credit, confirmed letters of credit, trade finance, investment, and credit enhancement to protect exporters, contractors, and financial institutions from commercial and political risks. Our strategic reinsurance partnerships with ECAs support large-scale transactions. Since our inception, we have insured $121 billion in business, $96 billion in trade, and $25 billion in foreign direct investment, demonstrating our impact on member states. Our SDG contributions include $7.2 billion in infrastructure, $1.8 billion in agriculture, $52.1 billion in energy, including $5.7 billion in clean energy cover, $3.1 billion in health, and $3.3 billion in green projects. Our innovative solutions and risk strategies have driven nearly $57 billion in intra-OIC trade and investment, establishing us as the preferred enabler. For 17 years, ISEC has maintained a standalone AA3 rating from Moody's with a stable outlook. In 2024, we earned a long-term AA- rating from Standard & Poor's, also with a stable outlook. These ratings reflect our strong financial foundation, sound risk governance, and robust support from Islamic Development Bank Group and 50 member states. Our commitment goes beyond insurance. We exceeded our food security pledge by insuring over $1.12 billion in food-related transactions. Our Green Sukuk insurance policy and roles in ETAF and the Bern Union Climate Group underline our leadership in climate action and sustainable development.
ISEC is more than an insurer. It is a strategic partner that empowers governments, businesses, and communities by delivering Sharia-compliant risk mitigation solutions tailored to today's most pressing challenges.
تعتبر مؤسسة السياج شريك تاريخي ببعد استراتيجي لشركة كاجاكس، وذلك بالأخذ بعين الاعتبار مساهمتها الفعالة في برنامج إعادة التأمين المسطر من قبل شركتنا، والذي يهدف لاختيار أبرز الفاعلين في مجال تأمين الإتمان لتحسين نوعية الأداء والرقي بخدماتنا إلى مستوى تطلعات المتعاملين الاقتصاديين داخل وخارج الوطن.
ISEEK's flagship initiatives showcase our innovative spirit. The OIC Business Intelligence Center, OBIC, delivers vital credit data across the OIC, while the Oman Union unites member state risk insurers. The Africa Co-Guarantee Platform and Arab Africa Trade Bridges Program drive cross-regional investment, de-risk transactions, and support economic growth.
We will continue to foster inclusive prosperity, drive transformational change, and safeguard our planet's future by delivering sustainable solutions that resonate far beyond borders.
ISEEK builds resilient economies and lasting partnerships for a sustainable future. Together, we drive global economic growth and positive change.
It's my honor now to call on the stage the moderator of this panel, Mr. Mahmoud Khalif, Director, Underwriting Operation, Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISEC. Please join me. And I am calling also the panelists, Mr. Dr. Khalif Khalafallah, Chief Executive Officer, the Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISEC, and Acting Chief Executive Officer, the Islamic Corporation for the Development of Private Sector, ICD. Welcome, Dr. Khalid Khalafallah. Mr. Nazim Nordali, Chief Operating Officer, International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, ITFC. I am pleased to call also Amal Bakhir, Deputy General Director, CAJEX, Algeria Export Insurance and Guarantee Company. It's my pleasure also to call Mr. Sujitav Sarangi, Executive Director, Development and Agency Finance Team, Standard Chartered Bank. Thank you so much. You have the floor, Mr. the Moderator.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Islamic Development Bank Group, I am pleased to welcome you all to this panel discussion titled Unlocking the Trade Potential Between Africa and the Arab Countries, the Role of Risk Mitigation Tools in Promoting Trade and Investments. This session is particularly timely. According to the African Development Bank, Africa's total trade is expected to hit $1 trillion by the year 2030. Meanwhile, intra-regional trade between Arab and African nations already surpassed $350 billion in 2024. Algeria is strategically located to be a gateway between these two dynamic regions, and its recent achievement of $7 billion in 2023 in non-hydrocarbon exports is a testament to its transformative trade agenda. However, to truly unlock the trade and investment potential between Africa and the Arab nations, including Algeria, we must address the risks, both real and perceived, that often discourage private sector involvement. Political risk insurance has become a tool in this effort, and between 2018 and 2022, political risk insurance providers supported 150 billion worth of projects in developing countries, including the least developed member countries. In fact, in those least developed countries, political risk insurance covered only around 28% of total foreign direct investment into those countries, showing just how critical they are in helping investors feel more confident, especially in uncertain markets and specifically at uncertain times like the times we are in today. Multilateral institutions like ISEC play a leading role in this space. They not only offer financial protection through guarantees and insurance, but they also bring their international networks, technical know-how, and a strong focus on development. Their support is especially vital in Africa, where the risks are often perceived to be greater and where multilateral institutions provide the largest share of political risk insurance coverage. Today, our objective is to explore how we can elevate this momentum. And in that regard, we aim to promote Algeria as a strategic trade hub between the Arab and African regions. Number two, we also aim to explore ways to strengthen multilateral cooperation and coordination. Number three, we also wish to achieve the objective of identifying priority sectors for growth, and particularly in the infrastructure sector, manufacturing and renewable energy, which remain underinsured and also underfunded. We also wish to address trade barriers and risks and foster public and private partnerships. And in that context, we put together a panel of distinguished industry thought leaders from multilaterals, national export credit agencies, trade finance, credit and political risk insurance, and banking. In the coming 1 hour, we will hear from them so that they can unpack for us the complexities, challenges, and opportunities of trade and investment in these two great regions. But before we do that, I would like to invite Dr. Khalid Khalafallah, the CEO of ISEC and the acting CEO of ICD, to give his welcome remarks to the audience. Dr. Khalid.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Good morning. And I would like to welcome all the guests for coming early morning for this session. And I equally thank the organizers, the government of Algeria, for hosting the annual meeting of ISDB Group for the third time in its history, and for supporting us in organizing the private sector forum. As just mentioned by Mahmoud, the topic is timely, and we look forward for an engaging session this morning. I will welcome you again, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. We now would like to start the session, and I would like to start with Dr. Khalid by asking him to briefly introduce ISEC and share with the audience the key mandate of ISEC.
Thank you, Mahmoud. ISEC was established for a specific purpose, which is to promote the trade globally of our member countries, and more importantly also encourage investment to flow to our member countries. We have been established in 1994, and up to end of 2024, we have done a collective business insured of almost 121 billion US dollar. Now, half of this almost goes for intra-OIC or intra-member countries, including trade, which is the topic of our session today, and also investment, intra-investment between our member countries. And we do this through our suite of products on the export credit insurance side and on the political risk insurance side.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. I now would like to call on Brother Nazim Nurdali, the Chief Operating Officer of ITFC. ITFC, of course, is a sister entity within the IDB Group, and they are quite active in the trade space. So I just would like Brother Nurdali to take a few minutes to again introduce ITFC and explain the mandate of ITFC briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud. Thank you for having me on your panel for ISEC. So ITFC, well, that's how we call it. It's the International Islamic Trade Finance Corporation, established in early 2008. Now it's almost over 17 years of working for the member countries. And, but as a function, trade finance existed in IDB Group, IDB since 1977. And this has been now almost, I would say, 50 years of track record of doing trade finance within the IDB Group. Just to say that IDB was the first multilateral to set up trade finance as an activity for financing its member countries. Other multilaterals started it only in the 90s, like EBRD, and then the IFC, and ADB and IFC. So within the IDB, from why we had trade finance from the beginning is because it was recognized trade recognized as an integral component for socio-economic development for these member countries. So because of its importance, it was spin off in 2008 into a separate institution. And today, within the last 17 years of operation, we have achieved over $82 billion of funded trade finance for the member countries. In Algeria, for example, we were, as in IDB trade finance, we were doing trade finance in Algeria until 2003, almost 1.8 billion financing for the corporate and SMEs in Algeria for financing strategic commodities from palm oil, sugar, wheat, textile cotton, textile yarn, among others, and of course we were doing at that time a lot of optic fiber cable that was used for the infrastructure development in Algeria. So that's, in a nutshell, what ITFC was as a trade finance function and what we are today as ITFC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Nazim. Now we move on to Sister Amal Bakir from CAJEX. CAJEX is the local national export credit agency of Algeria. And we know ECAs play a very critical role in the promotion of trade of the country that creates them. And CAJEX is particularly an active one that really does a fantastic job. So we just would like also to hear briefly from Sister Amal so that for those audience members who may not be familiar with CAJEX, to just give a bit of an introduction to the institution.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So CAJEX was established in 1995, just before the enactment of the ordinance related to the insurance credit here in Algeria. Its primary mission was to help the Algerian exporters, operators, to penetrate the foreign market, the international market, by providing guarantees and coverage against the risk of non-payment of the international buyers. So CAJEX, through its 30 years of existence, this year will mark its 30th anniversary of CAJEX. So it plays a very important role in supporting commerce, trade in Algeria, especially non-hydrocarbon product exportations, by providing a lot of guarantees in the different stage of the transactions. So after the transaction, by creating links between the exporters and the buyers of the product, the Algerian product, in the transaction, and at the moment of the transaction, by providing a lot of guarantees, such as the risk of political risk or commercial risk, and after the transaction, by providing help to these operators to ensure their payment. So CAJEX plays, as I said, a very important role in developing and promoting exportation, non-hydrocarbon exportation in Algeria. And when we take into consideration the new policy of the government, which favorite or foster the diversification of our economy, so CAJEX have to play a new role. And for this reason, we increase our share capital from 3 billion to 10 billion dinars, and with the inclusion, of course, of the treasurer in our capital, and we have to play a very important role to help our operators in their strategy of penetration of the African market especially. And these new challenges are traduced in CAJEX with new maybe visual identity, which can help us to develop the trade and help the Algerian operator to penetrate the foreign market, especially the African market. Thank you.
Thank you, Amel. Now we move to Standard Chartered Bank, Sujitaf Sarangi. Sujitaf, if you can please briefly share with us the role that Standard Chartered Bank plays in promoting trade and investment in general. We will go into the specifics of this region, Africa and the Arab world a bit later, but for now we would like to hear about the general activities in those two areas.
Thank you so much, Mahmood. Good morning to all. It's nice to see you all for the early morning session, as said. So as Mahmood mentioned, I am part of Development and Agency Finance team with Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank is among the various banks that you would have heard of, has a very distinct role. So it was formed in the 1800s by the order of Queen Victoria. So it's a British bank headquartered in London and Singapore. And as different from other international banks, our tagline is Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So if you look at some of the other international banks, they have a home market, either it's from US or from Germany or from France. But Standard Chartered Bank, even though headquartered in London, we don't call UK our home market. So for us, the home markets are in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So when we started in the 1800s, in sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, it was in Botswana. So for once upon a time, Standard Chartered Bank was the central bank of Ghana, Botswana, and Nigeria. So we have been there in these markets in sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, and in Asia for over 150 years. So that's a very distinct role. So it's not, when there are headwinds which banks face, they usually curtail their international and overseas operations and head home. But for us, the home markets are these markets which are, the emerging markets, which are the riskier markets. And we are proud to call that our home. So we have a very important role to play. We consider ourselves a very strong partner of our clients in these markets. Maybe perhaps I will stop here and take further questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Sujitaf. We now delve into the technicalities of trade and investment trends in the region. And I again would like to start with Dr. Khalid. If you can tell us, Dr. Khalid, about how ISEC enables sustainable trade growth and investments between the Arab countries and Africa through the use of risk mitigation tools, particularly Sharia-compliant ones.
Well, I think historically, ISEC, when it was established, our mandate was confined to intra-OIC. which means intra-member countries. Gradually, we expand that mandate, of course, to be supporting export to globally. And also historically, when it comes to trade, the Arab Africa, given the geographical proximity, that was a historical trade route, one of the historical trade routes globally. Now, when we start at ISEC, we start with export credit. Investment insurance come later in the early 2000. And given the mandate we have and the target we have that by 2025, by this year, we're supposed to reach 25% of the inter-OIC should be supported by us, by ISEC in terms of facilitation, and also more importantly by ITFC in terms of trade finance. The products we have, we do it in two different ways. Either directly, we support exporters, especially from the Arab region, to penetrate for African countries, African markets, or through collaboration with National Export Credit Agency. I mean, in Algeria here we have a reinsurance agreement with CAJEX, where we support them in providing reinsurance support and capacities. Mahmoud mentioned earlier that 7 billion export from Algeria was from non-hydrocarbon sector. That's quite a big figure. I think a couple of years back it was about 1 billion. So Algeria is also diversifying market. Now, traditionally, you will export, those exports will go to probably Europe, a small amount, but the largest market for them to venture to is the African market. Last year, we had a meeting here in Algeria. CAJEX was hosting it, and one of the collaboration that we encourage is among the export credit agency and member countries to collaborate among themselves. And we have a signing ceremony between Nigeria Exim Bank and CAJEX. I think that's one aspect to foster the intra-Arab and African trade. We also had the documentary credit insurance policy. This is specifically designed for the banking sector, which help also the trade in terms of the LC business confirmation and facilitate, and also help in having an affordable cost, because instead of having a confirmation by rated banks, our insurance through the documentary credit insurance come timely to, and also in terms of affordability, support the trade. Mostly, in most cases, if an African buyer would like to acquire export from international, one of the issues normally comes is the local bank in some countries are not high rated, and the exporter will definitely ask for a confirmation from at least an A-rated bank. And the documentary credit insurance policy has been one of our good tools that help facilitate this export and the trade operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. Brother Nazim, we would like to hear from you on how ITFC is promoting trade among Africa and the Arab world. What specific measures is ITFC taking to do that promotion, number one? And number two, we know you have a partnership program with ISEC. How is that helping in mitigating the risks in complex markets?
Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud. I think first of all, let's start to talk about what is the main core activities of the ITFC. There are two main pillars in ITFC. One is the trade finance, and the other one is the trade development. So what we do is, trade finance is a catalyst for trade, but it does not create trade. You need somewhere, somehow, trade has to be created. And that's what we have the second pillar of trade development / trade facilitation, capacity building, trade-related capacity building in order to create a conducive environment for trade to happen. And that's what we focus a lot, because we can do trade finance with a lot of institutions, we work together, but we need to find ways how to create a platform for the trade to happen. And this is what we do a lot now in the region through programs like Arab Africa Trade Bridge program that we have, where we and ISEC together, we work together and other institutions to make the trade more appealing, easy access, networking for the economic operator, for them to be able to understand each other, they create the necessary knowledge for them to go and find ways to do the business, and we will support the business if it happens through ITFC Trade Finance and ISEC Guarantee. So in the MENA region or Middle East and North Africa, I would say we have a lot of trade finance we have done, particularly in North Africa, like Egypt and Tunisia, as well as in West Africa, in countries like from Mauritania up to down to Nigeria. So the main reason for ITFC or relevancy of ITFC is to do business where others find it risky to do. That's where because we have a developmental mandate also, not just the trade finance in order to make a return, but we need to be able to bring people to wait. That's where working with ISEC is very important, because we do it to have a de-risking of the transaction. Example, we do a lot with ISEC working for syndicated financing in Egypt and Tunisia, where a lot of banks have pulled out in difficult time of the aftermath of the, for example, Arab Spring. A lot of banks pulled out of Egypt, but ITFC was there, supported by ISEC, where ISEC is providing insurance for banks, participants that came in our syndication. So, for example, this is why today, after 17 years, ITFC has been able to mobilize nearly $50 billion of financing from other banks, financial institutions in the market. How we can do that is also, a lot of it due to support we receive from ISEC, that is providing the coverage, or we call it the insurance wrapping for the transaction for this bank, that would not have come if ISEC was not there, and would not have even entertained the deal if ITFC was not leading the deal also. So we play a role of together, because it's what we call it synergy within the group. Together, we play a role of creating a conducive trade ecosystem. This is happening also now in moving down onto West Africa, where we were trying for the last few years, trying to see how we can bring Arab-Africa trade to be happening too. It's there, but we wanted to scale up to make it become mainstream as a South-South cooperation for the country to benefit without having to go to move away from the traditional way of doing business. We need to create the trade for us, and other tools like yesterday we were talking about African continental free trade area, that will be some of the mechanisms that will ease up the trade between African countries. So once we have this type of mechanism, we need to create the trade knowledge for people to know each other, because trade is about somebody has a good to sell, somebody a good that he wants to buy. We need to put them very simple. We need to put them together. But at the same time, it's simple, it's also become very difficult. So once they agree to work together, then the trade finance can chip in the frame of either LC confirmation or trade short-term financing or invoice discounting, and ISEC will be able to provide what you call the insurance wrapper around it to de-risk the transaction, reduce the risk perceived by the stakeholders, and can get the business going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Nazim. Very, very powerful examples of what multilaterals can do when they work together, specifically in times of crisis for member countries. The examples of Egypt and Tunisia are quite pertinent. Thank you for that. Moving on to CAGEX and Sister Amal. We all know the critical and vital role that ECAs play in promoting exports. We would like to hear a bit about the experience of CAGEX in supporting Algerian exporters, and particularly the evolving role that you see CAGEX playing in increasing the interactions and the intertrade between Africa and the Arab world.
Thank you. As I said, the Kazakhs had the first mission of Kazakhs is to support Algerian exporters who want to penetrate the foreign or the international markets. So we provide a lot of guarantees to cover the exporters against the political and the commercial risk, especially. This, when we speak about the insurance contract, but when we speak about the policy of Kazakhs in developing and promoting trade between Algeria and African country and Arab country, why not? We created a new department in Kazakhs which can help us to create links between Algerian and African country. This link takes into consideration the economic situation of the country. We analyze the economic situation of the country with using the database of Kazakhs and its partners, such as ISEC, such as other partners which are specialized in the credit insurance. We can guide our operators to the other markets, especially in Africa, and with using, as I said, analyzing, so the situation, the economic situation of the country, the political situation of the country, and the financial situation of the buyer. So we are creating links, as I said, between our exporters and the clients which are in other countries of Africa. We try to use the agreement which are signed between these people, between these countries, between Africa countries and Arab countries also, and foster the relationship between Kazakhs and its partners to develop its database and to guide and direct its clients and its operators to the best markets. So when you analyze the economic situation of a country, we analyze especially the demand of this country, because the exportation of one country are the importation of the other country. For example, if we speak about Algeria, we have to develop a lot of sectors of activities, such as agriculture, such as material construction, etc. And when we have this potential, we have to use it to serve the African market.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good points and good examples there. Sujitav, we just would like now to move to hearing from you in terms of your experience as Standard Chartered Bank in collaborating with ISEC, and specifically how that partnership and collaboration may have unlocked opportunities for you to do projects and transactions in challenging markets. And if you can give maybe some examples, that would be good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for us, for Standard Chartered Bank, I think we're so proud to say that ISEC has been one of our strongest, most trusted, valued, steadfast partner when we are providing financial services to clients in our key markets. So if I could start by giving a few examples, our partnership with ISEC started in Senegal, and this was one of the structures which you saw in the video as well. This was the Djamillo Stadium, which is one of the, if you have traveled to Dakar and if you pass by that, is one of the landmarks in Dakar, and is serving such a useful purpose. It is to host the Youth Olympics. It had been the venue for the AFCONs, where Senegal actually went on to win the AFCON Cup. So it proved very lucky for them. But the partnership started there, and from there we have gone on to do landmark transactions in ISEC member countries and our clients. So if I could, go on that. So for instance, what have we done with, it was because of ISEC support that we were able to do about $500 million in Côte d'Ivoire, where ISEC came in as a reinsurer. So this was to do several projects for the government of Côte d'Ivoire under the ESG framework. With ISEC's help, we were able to do the first transaction in Uganda. The first Murahaba trade in Uganda was with the help of ISEC, and it was to help in very critical sectors, in health, in agriculture. We were able to do the first Murahaba structure in Uzbek only because of ISEC's help. So it has been an invaluable for Standard Chartered Bank. I have been in the trenches working with the ISEC team, and we can't thank them enough for providing these financings to our key clients across the globe. So not only that, what else have we done? We have done solar-powered public lighting in Senegal, hugely developmental project. We are working with them right now in various other countries, in Nigeria, in Kazakhstan, in so many places. And it's only because as a commercial bank, if a client comes to us, we will be able to provide maybe just 2 years or 3 years loan. But these are infrastructure projects which need longer tenor financing. And it's only because of the support of ISEC that we are able to provide a very competitively priced longer tenor financing for our key clients. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sujitaf. Back to Dr. Khalid. What challenges do you foresee, Dr. Khalid, in advancing trade and investments among the Arab and African regions? And if you have any suggestions as to perhaps some solutions would be good.
Certainly, I think the main challenge I would see is the availability of reliable credit information, specifically for exporters who want to penetrate in some of the African countries. Credit information, reliable credit information is one of the major challenges. Historically, at ISEC, we were able to support some of the major petrochemical companies, especially in Saudi Arabia, known names such as SABIC and Aramco, to export to African countries. And we do so by having access to reliable credit information, setting insurance limits, and help them to move to new countries. If you have seen in the promotional video at the beginning of the session, we organized for the third time what we call OIC Business Intelligence Program. That's under the OIC mandate given to ISEC. The one in the video you have seen we held it last year in Indonesia, and we had one in Turkey, we had one in Saudi Arabia. The idea is to help Export Credit Agency of our member countries to share credit information, enhance and build the capacities of having reliable credit information. So I think one of the key challenges, for African to export to Europe, for Arab countries to export to Europe and Asia, credit information industry is well established, and you have access to reliable information. We will continue doing those programs like the OBIC, the OIC Business Intelligence Program, because we see that's a value addition we can support. Another important aspect we also see a growing demand on export of services. When we talk about export, we don't just mention the traditional, export of products, but we also do support, the intra-Arab African export of services. We have supported an Egyptian contractor to move to a large number of African countries, not necessarily member of ISEC. They can be non-member countries, because our aim is to promote export of services to globally to any member country. So credit information is one of the challenges we see, and we started addressing this by either working directly with Export Credit Agency, providing support and capacity building, or through the program I just mentioned, which will continue to do it on an annual basis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. I think we are heading towards the end of our time. Very briefly, Brother Noordali, I would like you the concept of Islamic trade finance is something that may not be understood by everyone. If you can very briefly explain what it is, particularly in comparison with conventional trade finance, and how you foresee it playing a bigger role in promoting trade and investment among the Arab region as well as the African region.
Thank you, Khalid. I think if you want to explain Islamic finance, trade finance, we need more than a 1 hour session. But I'll just try to, in 5 minutes, to explain. I mean, compared to conventional finance, I would say first it is asset backed. There should be an underlying asset or product that you need to buy in order for the trade finance to take place. This is fundamental in the Islamic finance. We can't do it without having an exchange of goods, an import or an export or a cross-border trade to take place. That's what make it appealing for some because it's actually dedicated and fully organically grown model for expanding trade. So having said that, I think Islamic trade finance is growing very fast. The demand far exceeds the supply. We face that type of problem in many countries, in Africa, but also in Asia. For example, in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, one of the most vibrant economy in Central Asia, the demand for it is driven by the people, not by the institution or the government. The people go to their bank and ask for Islamic finance, otherwise they will not take loan. So what happened is that since there's no Islamic finance there, the banks in the country are looking around for trade line, for Islamic trade line, in order for them to be able to fulfill the demand of their customer. It's so growing so fast there that the local bank can't cope with it because the bank has money, but they can't, the customer don't want it, they don't want conventional. So, for example, we have a lot of banks coming to see us this year and repeatedly asking for more and more line of finance in Islamic line of finance. So this is one area, but it's also happening in the region in Africa. From Mauritania down to Nigeria, there's a fast-growing demand for Islamic finance. And we as ITFC, we are trying to pioneer, leading the initiative to bring other banks to join us in order to bring more capacity to the region. But it's not just about providing the financing. It's about also build the capacity of the people who are going to serve it. The bank need to be trained on Islamic finance product so that they be able to cater for their customer. And so in ITFC, we don't just try to put financing in place, but we build capacity to providing advisory services to banks and corporate for that to can understand how to sell the product and how to sell the customer better in a manner that we want to ensure that Islamic finance are well implemented and not having to have what they call it issues that can actually negate all the effort that we are putting in place. And this is not something we can do alone. And these are done even at group level IDB, but also through programs like we mentioned earlier, the Arab Africa Trade Bridge, which is I would say a big flagship program involving many countries and institutions, including ITFC, ISEC, and Badia African Bank, where we are trying to promote the trade finance with our partners, including ISEC, with the insurance, as I mentioned earlier, for that we can work together to grow that business in order to effect the trade between Arab and Africa. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Nazim. Now moving on to Sister Amal, very briefly, ISEC and CAGEX have a long-standing relationship, one which has served both organizations very well. We have had a treaty relationship. In your view, what needs to be done so that that relationship and partnership can be taken to the next level?
Thank you. As I said, Algeria is considered as a bridge between African and Arab countries, and we need to foster our relationship with our partners, such as ICEC. So the most important thing for the moment is to support the Algerian exporters by providing guarantees and capacities. And our relationship with ICEC is based on these agreements. By increasing the capacity first, and by maybe helping our Algerian investors to invest in the African countries. So to help them and to support them, we need to protect them against all risks, especially the risk related to the investment, because we have a lot of investors here in Algeria who want to open and the subsidiaries in the African market, so they need to be protected against the risk of investment. And we know that ICEC is specialized in this kind of insurance. So this the second way of maybe developing the relationship between ICEC and CAGEX. We need also to support our startup because we have, as I said, exportation of services, and we need to support them by providing guarantees and insurance, which can help them to penetrate the other markets. So I think that we can do a lot of things together, and hope that we will.
Great, thank you very much, Samuel. I would like to excuse Dr. Khalid, who has to join the BOG meeting, which is about to start. But we have another 5 minutes, I guess, to wrap up. So, Dr. Khalid, you can go. Sujit, moving on to you. What are the challenges that you foresee in supporting more trade and investment in this part of the world, from the point of view of SCB?
Yeah. So, in the markets that we cover in sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, there is a huge requirement. The infrastructure gap is in, billions of dollars. I think the challenges is in terms of the appetite of the banks to come in. As typically all the sovereigns do, the first is, of course, the concessional financing, which perhaps they can obtain for the critical infrastructure projects which they are looking to do. And after that, they tap into the financing from the commercial banks with the help of the export credit agencies or the multilateral development banks like ISEC. So now there is only limited appetite which, the commercial banks and the commercial banks need to do much more, which is only possible only if there is support from export credit agencies and the multilateral banks. So this is extremely crucial to be able to unlock financing and to be able to meet the huge infrastructure requirement in these countries. So there are hospitals, there are roads, there is such a huge requirement in these countries. But the appetite, I guess, the credit appetite of the commercial banks is limited, which is the biggest challenge. So we are always looking to do more with the multilateral banks, with the Islamic Development Bank, with the World Bank, with the African Development Bank, to be able to provide the longer tenor, competitively priced loans to be able to do these, roll out the infrastructure projects. So I think this is key. And I do understand that the multilateral development banks are actually coming in with their guarantee products. We have seen, how AFDB is doing that, how, there are new products being developed. For instance, even with ISEC, not only just the NHSFO, but the bank master policy, which are all various instruments to be able to provide longer tenor financing to support. We have, for instance, in partnership with ISEC, we have provided loans to Trade Development Bank or the Afrexim Bank, which then helps to leverage their financing so that they could roll out, financing to their clients across the difficult markets in, Benin, Comoros, Mozambique, and all these countries. So the partnership with multilateral development banks is key to be able to bring in private capital, and it is vitally important that many of these multilateral banks do come in with products like the guarantee products to be able to do more.
Thank you very much, Sujitav. We are now coming to the end of the program, but before we wrap up, I would like to give each panelist 1 minute to share with us a concise recommendation as to how we can unlock or perhaps accelerate trade and investment interactions between the Arab world and also the African continent. Starting with Brother Noordali.
Yes, Mahmoud. Let's say that what we need is to create the access to market for the trade, and also providing the necessary tool for investment. This can be done by countries joining hands together in order to harmonize their legislation that will ease up investment and create sort of tools that would facilitate, also motivate investors to come to other countries. And this is what one of the key pillar of objective that this Arab-Africa trade treaty is trying to do, how to link the Arab world to the Africa world and vice versa. That's what we need, because it's a purely a South-South cooperation initiative for the people, by the people, serving the communities in the region for both Arab and Africa countries. And we have seen a few successful initiatives within that. For example, one of them is in Africa, the harmonization of the pharmaceutical sector, as is quite important in order to be able to with one standard you can sell to all the African countries, for example. Second, we see same thing, harmonization for the textile and leather sector in Africa, in order to not to have each country its own standard. And these are sectoral initiatives that is bringing its result over time. You will see the impact over time. But nevertheless, there's a lot of work to be done, and we look forward for the countries like Algeria, which is not yet a member of the ATB, to join, in order for them to mainstream into the bigger Africa business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noordali. Sister Amal, your recommendation?
Maybe foster a relationship between these countries. First relationship exactly between also credit agencies and banks, and create our own quotation agency, why not, in order to appreciate the political and commercial risks. Use the international agreements which facilitate trade between Arab and African countries, the free exchanges of goods and services, create a new way of transportation and infrastructure which can help to facilitate transportation of goods and services between these countries.
Thank you very much. Finally, Sujitav, your 2 cents on how we can improve things going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud. And this is a very important question because in various meetings over the past few days, we have talked about what we have done so well, right, which is the use of the ISEC guarantee product. But our request would be for such a guarantee product also to be provided by other member institutions like the Islamic Development Bank or ICD. So that would be extremely useful. And another would be, of course, we use the ISEC guarantee so well in the member countries, but perhaps we need to find a way to use it also for non-member countries as well, because they also want to benefit from this useful product. So that would be extremely useful if we could do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have now come to the end of the panel. I really would like to thank very much the panel members for their very insightful contributions and discussion. I hope we learned few things from this discussion. Definitely a big vote for more collaboration between multilaterals, between national export credit agencies, international commercial banks, trade financing institutions like ITFC, and also the need for us to be innovative in terms of coming up with new products, addressing the evolving needs of our member countries, particularly at a time when we all see that the global economic, trade, and investment landscape is transforming very, very vastly and very fast. So a big applause to the panel, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mahmoud Khalif, Director and the Writing Operation Islamic. Let's take a photo together, please. A photo together. In the middle, please. Let's go to the middle. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to Mr. Mahmoud Nordani. He has a planned session right now. And special thank to Dr. Khalid Khalafallah. And we invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to remain on stage to receive a present from ISEC to all panelists given by Engineer Yassir Alagi, Director, Business Development Department, ISEC. He's going to join us, starting with Amel Bakir, Deputy General Director, CAJEX, Algerian Export Insurance and Guarantee Companies. Mr. Engineer Yassir Alagi is joining us to give a first present to Amel Bakir, Deputy General Director of CAJEX, for her participation and the support of CAJEX to this forum. Thank you so much. The second present is for Mr. Sujitav Sarangi, Executive Director, Development and Agency Finance Team, Standard Chartered Bank, for his support and for his participation to this important panel. The other present from ISEC to Mr. Mahmoud Khalif, Director, Underwriting Operation Islamic Corporation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, ISEC. Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud, and thank you, Mr. Yasser Alaghi, for your presence, and thank you for all the panelists for their participation to this panel. Very important and looking trade potential among Africa, Arab countries, and Algeria. Thank you so much. Let's move, ladies and gentlemen, now to country presentation, and I am pleased to call Mrs. Iman Toumi, Manager at the Algeria Investment Promotion Agency, IAP, to give her speech. Please, ladies and gentlemen, remain seated. رجاء من السيدات والسادة الحضور الجلوس حتى نتمكن من مواصلة هذه الجلسة. من فضلكم ما فيش انترفيو هنا خارج القاعة، من فضلكم الجلسة متواصلة لأنه الجلسة متواصلة. شكرا جزيلا. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We call Iman Toumi, Mrs. Iman Toumi, Manager at the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, to join us to give her speech, please. Iman Toumi is among us.